Hey beautiful people, in today's video I want to talk about why even though you're doing the cardio, you're counting the calories, you're just not losing weight, or at least not as much weight as you hope to be losing. And now the problem here lies in a lot of things, and I'm going to discuss them all in this video, but I want to start firstly with calorie counting apps and cardio, and specifically this little blurb where you're meant to put in the amount of calories you burn doing a certain exercise, normally treadmill or biking or cardio, whatever, where it tells you the amount of calories you burned. And you put that in, and then you just remove that number of calories from your daily consumption. And this feels so nice. You go to the gym, you walk in the treadmill for an hour, you burn, let's say, 500 calories, and you add that onto the amount of calories you consume in a day, and it feels so wonderful. I've earned these 500 calories. I get to indulge because I've worked for this. And that seems so logically pure and sound. Like, you've expended this much energy, you have to consume that much more energy, you'll lose the same amount of weight. The problem here lies in a compensatory reduction in non-exercise activity thermogenesis, known as NEAT. Now, what the fuck did I just say? What that actually means is that after a period of elevated activity or expenditure in your calories, your body reduces its resting calories so you can kind of reconcile with a regular day's calorie expenditure. And what this means for you is that after doing exercise for like an hour, 45 minutes, whatever it is, your body actually reduces its resting calories, and as a result, you haven't burned any calories in the long term throughout the entire day. Throughout that period, you sure have, but it doesn't make a difference because for the rest of the day, your calories are exactly the same. And this is mediated if you have very long periods of exertion, where even though you have a depleted amount of calories burned in your resting time is shorter and your active time is longer, so it doesn't make a difference. What that means is, unless you want to do like 3 hours of cardio a day, is that even though your goal is 2,500 calories and you've burned 500 calories walking on the treadmill, you still should only be eating 2,500 calories and not 3,000. Now, there is another form of cardio that's not steady state, and that is, of course, HIIT, or high intensity interval training. And some people kind of hypothesize that due to excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, blah blah blah, sciencey talk, whatever, it means that your body actually has an elevated activity for the rest of the day versus a decreased activity. The difference, of course, with it is you're burning way less calories in the during the action of it because it's so much shorter duration that you're actually expending yourself. But the idea is, like, you save time in the short, and you also theoretically actually do stimulate your digestive, your metabolism for the rest of the day. Now, it's of course worth noting here that HIIT cardio still has these negative effects of a decreased non-exercise activity of thermogenesis. It's just potentially mediated by this post-oxygen consumption. And what that means is you might not actually have a stimulated metabolism for the rest of the day. It's like oxygen consumption is trying to stimulate metabolism, and your reduction in NEAT is trying to fight it. And you don't know how these forces balance. So they might be even, you might have absolutely no difference in your calorie consumption for the rest of the day, or they might be tilted one way or another, and you don't know this, so it's just safe to play it smart and not take these calories away from your calorie counting app. Additionally, though, I found that sprinting is extremely appetite suppressant and will actually help you eat less calories throughout the day because all the jostling of the impact of your feet sort of, I don't know, I guess they upset your stomach, but one way or another, they make it so you're not full or hungry or desiring food for a good 2 hours after a sprinting workout, and they only take like 20 minutes. So next I want to talk about metabolic adaptation, and this happens when you decrease your calories below baseline, as you do in a cut, always, and your baseline decreases with it. And that's just because your body is really good at adapting to whatever station it is. That's the definition of life, maintaining homeostasis. It means you're able to sort of always adapt and use whatever situation you have to keep on living. And the problem with that is now if you're starting your cut at 2,500 calories, slowly over a couple of weeks, your body's amount of calorie expenditure will decrease to the amount of input you're taking, 2,500 calories. The way to mediate this is, of course, is to drop your calories, and it's better to do this slowly, so about 50 calories a week, rather than all at once, but you could also do it 100 calories every other week, or however it makes it easy and most logical to track for you. The problem with this, too, is then if you go from eating 3,000 calories on like a lean bulk all the way to 1,500 calories, a massive drop, your metabolism is going to spike down really quickly, but instead, if you slowly decrease the amount of calories you're consuming, you're able to milk these higher calorie ranges for fat loss versus shutting your calories down all at once. Like, we're talking about the area under the curve here. If you guys have taken like a calculus class, it's the amount of it's the total amount of calories below baseline, and as that baseline decreases, we want to slow it down as much as possible so we can maximize the amount of weight we're losing at the highest amount of calories. Basically, jargon. Slowly decrease calories, not all at once. Now next I want to talk about miscounting calories, and this is actually the biggest reason why people lose weight. And studies have shown that 90% of people under track calories. And for the average person, it's about 20%. But let's say you're only eating 2,500 calories. That is a 500 calorie difference. That is more than your total deficit is probably, and more than enough to throw off your cut. And for particularly overweight people, they actually found that it's up to 50%. People will under track calories up to 50%, which is thousands and thousands of calories and way more than enough to throw off your deficit. Even throw you into a bulk. And now the problem for this is, of course, social desirability bias, where you put a half cup, or you put a cup of rice on your plate, and you're like, no, that's a half cup right there. I put a half cup, because you want your foods to fit your macros. You want every single time you fill up a plate of food, you want it to be enough to fit into your diet. And as soon as you recognize this and realize that this is a phenomenon that everybody, including yourself, is falling into, it's a lot easier to sort of get around this without having to literally weigh every single piece of food you put in your plate, which just becomes like stressful and hard in social situations. Instead, if you just like realize, like, I'm probably under tracking this, I'm probably trying to mold my sort of reality to fit what I want it to be. That'll help a lot. Additionally, you can undershoot your calories by like 200 to 300, just knowing that you'll probably end up under tracking them anyway. So trying to eat 200 to 300 less, and then knowing you'll probably eat 200 to 300 over. But I really wouldn't recommend trying to weigh every single last piece of food you eat. That's just going to lead to a headache and a lot of stress. Now, speaking of a lot of stress, do not check your weight every day. Do not do it. Do not step on that scale. Maybe once a week, but you just have to realize, like, there are a million factors that influence your body weight, and only one of them is fat. Like, you have glycogen, you have food in your stomach, you have water storage. You just have, like, a million reasons why your body weight is going to shift. And that doesn't mean you haven't lost weight. That doesn't mean you've been thrown off. There's no reason to make yourself miserable by looking at the scale every day. I know it's addictive, but really try not to. It's just going to lead to a bad mindset and sort of like increased stress. And speaking of stress, try to get as much sleep as possible. This is going to help you not only like be more physically fit and healthy and able to lose this body weight, but it's also going to mean that you have a stronger like mental will. So you'll be better at keeping your calories under this certain amount because you're more well slept. You have like a stronger ability to think for yourself and like prevent yourself from going into these urges of food. Additionally, I want to talk about like consistency is so much better than perfection. Do not try to be perfect every day. If you overeat by 300 calories a day, that is fine. That is perfect. Just maybe over the next couple of days, try to eat a little bit less. But just be consistent. Every single day, track it. Even if you overeat, even if you cheat, even if you're like, oh my god, I went with friends, I went over 1,000 calories. Just track it that day and realize that you're still doing better than 99% of people out there, and you're still amazing, and you're still wonderful, and you're still going to lose this weight in the long term, and one day doesn't matter. Just always be consistent, and always know that you're working towards a goal, and a couple bad days don't matter. And as soon as you try to be perfect, it's just going to lead to you, like, stressing and blowing up, and then actually going off the rails and having these massive splurges of calories, versus if you just are consistent every day, you're sort of able to ride that wave and never have a big blow up. Also, just find foods that work for you, man. I'll make another video about how to eat less, just like I did a video on how to eat more, and a lot of that will cover foods. But just, even if it's unhealthy foods, even if it's soda, even if it's ice cream, whatever it is, like, you can still lose weight drinking soda, eating ice cream. Find comfort foods. You just have to eat them in moderation. And make sure you track them well. But, like, just find foods that still feel fulfilling, still make you happy, still make you feel comfortable. Like, these home foods, you know? Like, there's no reason to eat these, like, weird, like, egg white, artificial sweetener things all the time. Like, you can fit in actual nice, genuine, comforting foods, and please do, because otherwise it's going to make it so much harder to stick to your diet. And finally, I just want to talk about positive mindset, man. Like, you're awesome, you're amazing, like, you look beautiful, just keep getting after it, keep going. I love each and all of every one of you. But with that, I'm out, and thank you so much for watching. This is like one of my, I'm getting better at YouTube. I want to be better at YouTube, so if you think I can do that, just please subscribe so you can along for the ride. But if you don't subscribe too, that's fine. Just have a wonderful rest of your day. That's what really matters. But I love you all, and I'll see you later.